Namaste. The title of today's episode, number 13, is Mastery Over Circumstances. Mastery over circumstances? I remember again my teacher. She said, expect the unexpected. And, quote, if you become identified with the Supreme, and there is but one will, His, then of course you have supreme mastery. Otherwise, it is nothing but illusion. You imagine that by wanting a certain thing, you can change circumstances. But you have to be in total ignorance to believe that the change occurs because you wanted it. In fact, the Supreme is making use of you. Consequently, you have no mastery at all. You are an instrument used by the Supreme. And that's all. Unquote. The entries in my diary of the events in Cairo run 6 September 1979. In the morning I went to my now favorite place, the museum. As the day before, I joined one of the group of tourists in the guided tour through the different halls. Finding myself again plunged in and deeply submerged, head over heels into the fascinating world of ancient Egyptian culture, my emotional and physical reactions kept on being strong. But by then, they were not out of control because I somehow knew what to expect. Yet any explanation of what all of this I was experiencing had to do with myself was beyond me. Nevertheless, I was caught once more in the breathtaking world of numerous ancient physical realities, and on the other hand, of fleeting traces of wild racing thoughts through my mind that appeared not to belong to me, but to somebody else. I yet somehow knew. It was watching a movie I somehow was taking part of. Noontime was scheduled for the office of the Indian Airlines, one day after Bombay Airport was gutted. Already while entering the office, when I saw their faces, I knew that there was even more trouble. They said they were crestfallen, but the situation had not improved. I was to stay one more day in Cairo, due to the devastating fire at the Bombay immigration section. The clerk even was pleading with me. Please, sir, be so kind and come back tomorrow. We are extremely sorry. Well, I rather was not. But I did not tell him. 7th day. Now I am following standard procedure. After 2 days I have learned more about ancient Egyptian culture than I ever could have imagined. I chose different guides with their corresponding groups, and now have identified 6 artifacts I feel I have a very special relation to. At noontime, Indian Airlines. Standard. One more day. I was pretending that I'm getting really upset. 8th day. I found an unidentified torso of an ancient Egyptian female. Standing suddenly in front of it, after crossing a separating wall, my knees started shaking again. Once more I had to sit down. Sweat and tears were pouring over my cheeks. The face of the statue is stunningly beautiful, clearly showing a female identity. There was no name shown but. Strangely enough, at the chin of this serene face of this being, a kind of longish object is hanging down to the neck. It looked like a beard. I gazed at it for minutes, trying to understand what it was. I spent there almost 2 hours. 9th day. I went to the director of the museum, asking him politely to do me the favor of trying to have the origin of the torso identified. He promised he would try. Noontime, standard procedure. Pizza, red wine, Indian Airlines, cash in the money for the hotel, and waiting for the next day. But this night I had the weirdest of dreams. Some unknown Egyptian man, a teacher, was giving me lessons drawn from an ancient Egyptian scripture in front of him. I could even see the book. It was of a huge size and had a dark brown cover. In it all kind of teachings, traditions, and secrets of ancient Egyptian occultism were kept. I was to get lessons each night. 10th day. Morning is the museum. The director told me that he had not succeeded to identify the mysterious torso. But I did not need his information anymore, for I knew now who this woman was. The object at her chin is indeed an artificial beard. I'm in love with her, and I cannot think of anything else. Within days, my whole universe has exploded. I've left the normal reality and my normal life for good. Where will it lead me, I have no idea, and I do not care anymore. At noon, Indian Airlines. And this time at last, I got the confirmation that they were extremely happy to inform me about being able to have managed to put me on a flight of a Japanese Airlines to Kathmandu via New Delhi. The flight is scheduled to leave Cairo 4 days after. It was, after all, meaning 4 days more. I was hiding my joy, along with my regrets, because now I have just 3 days left. But I really have no reason to complain, haven't I? 11th day. Morning, museum. Afternoon, the pyramids. I noted down, I finally have found the courage to visit the pyramids. It is a must. I will never forgive myself when I leave Cairo now without doing this. I know I have to come back to Egypt with more time and money. I will also have to visit the Valley of the Kings down the Nile. But first, I need to see the pyramids here. I had chosen the biggest to visit first, the Cheops. In front of it, the usual tourist theater, screaming, gesturing guides, camels, throngs of visitors with a lot of noise, and all of this scorched by a merciless sun. Even already from a distance from the pyramid, I experienced the inner trembling, while I cautiously was approaching. At last I managed to join a line of visitors in front of the entrance, putting all of my attention on my body. While we were slowly moving into the direction of the entry room, from where a narrow hole was leading to the inside of the pyramid, my main focus was to quieten down my mind. Inside the entry room, one visitor after another, having to bend down, disappeared inside a small tunnel. But the closer I came to the opening, the more difficult it became for me to move on. I felt intense nausea. I got giddy in my head. I forced myself to proceed, but my legs started refusing. A few meters before the hole, just when it was about to be my turn to enter, I fainted into a black. Just like this. I got back to my senses, lying stretched on the ground on cool rocky stones next to the entrance hole, feeling sick in my stomach and with vertigo in my brain, with people passing by me on their way to the inside of the pyramid and others coming out. Some of them were looking at me, absent-minded, most of them neglecting me. A woman stopped asking me in English whether I needed help. I hardly could respond, shaking only my head. With utmost concentration, I finally managed to get up and leave. Outside, I felt safe again. 12th day. I want to try once more, choosing another period. I fix the afternoon for this, after the museum. The next morning I will bid farewell to the tour show. I cannot even begin to describe of what I'm feeling. At the second period, the same story as the one of the day before occurred. I could not enter. 13th day. I leave Cairo on board of a Japanese airliner. 14th September 1979. During the flight to Kathmandu, on board the plane to New Delhi, a strong and unexpected thought suddenly happened to cross my mind, as if somebody was talking to me. Why do you want to go to Nepal, and from Nepal to India, crossing the border illegally, if you anyway go to New Delhi first? I was so shocked that I froze for almost an hour, staring motionless out of the window. But then I had to reluctantly admit that there was some truth in the idea, wherever it was coming from. But how was I to manage this? It looked to be impossible. One part of my mind discarded the suggestion as an impracticable, ridiculous illusion and totally crazy. Another part was playing with it throughout the remaining hours of the flight, like a tune of music originating in the subconscious. The reality, however, as always, was surpassing all mental imaginations. After landing in Delhi, one part of the passengers going to Kathmandu had to take some left corridor. The others, who wanted to go to Delhi, some right corridor. All I had to do was to choose the right one. Moreover, what coincidence, we all had to carry our own suitcases. 20 minutes later, I passed through the Indian immigration legally as a German tourist, allowed to stay in the country for 6 months. The following tarot topic coming up is a question. What can I do in order to open up more to the help from the universe? The answer of the cards were as clear as my own. Align to the higher guidance and keep up your discipline. Thanks and namaste.